Okay, well, one of the things I'd like to see, which it was on Netflix. It was on Netflix, and I think Netflix's forte for me, I think, are documentaries, or like the acting documentaries as well. Like, I don't know what you call them. Do you call them like, they're documentaries, but they have like a movie as well. Like they have film towards it.
Like the sort of like reconstructions almost.
Reconstructions, yeah, reconstruction.
Yep.
So
yeah, I agree with you. I think if you want to talk about something that Netflix does probably better than anybody else, the documentaries, Netflix documentaries are something to watch. Yeah,
they really are. So this this series, it's got 6 episodes, about an hour long, and it was called Age of the Samurai, Rise of Japan. So it's basically a documentary about, because Japan pretty much in the 16th century, the 1500s, was pretty much like a feudal state. I guess a bit like, so you had like, it was all run by warlords and daimyos and things like this. So this is basically when the final episode is when Japan actually becomes a country, if you will. It actually becomes a country. So it goes through all these different warlords, and the first one is this. The first one that comes to prominence is Tokugawa. I don't know the names. I can't remember his name now. Tokugawa, I think. But there's he's like a big warlord, and there was another faction, and the warlord, one of the warlords dies, and he said he wanted to keep his death secret.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want his son to take over. But as it was, it came out, and there was a big battle, and his son lost like his whole army basically. And there's a film by Akira Kurosawa called Kagamusha, which is based, and I think that's based on the battle of, I think it's called Nagoshima or something like that. It was a big battle, and there's Kagamusha, the Kurosawa film, is called Shadow Warrior. It's basically the story of the leader of the clans died, and he's like a double, if you will, and takes over, but then he gets found out, and then his son. So that's all based on a battle. So you've got all these rival claimants, and each episode, so it starts off when there was big clashes, and certain generals and clever generals reminded me very much of. I read another era in history that I'm really interested in is the Mexican Revolution, where there's so many people that take over at different times, so many warlords.
Yep.
And obviously there's nasty ones, there's good ones, there's things go bad for them, things basically, well, it's just all wars and all conflict and pretty brutal, some of it. It's not particularly nice. And then there's one particular warlord that manages to take control, gets allies, but then he makes the mistake of invading Korea to go into China and becomes a bit mad.
So it's all factual. It's all
factual, yeah. But the actual, there's a lot of scenes in it with samurai and a lot of battles, and then that sort of intercuts with professors and historians talking about the different leaders, different types of leaders, different battles, different things. And it's just great. And I had to keep watching it. It was one of those ones I thought, I need to see how this goes. So I was really, really impressed with this. Totally impressed.
It's better than reading a Wikipedia page, isn't it?
Oh, God, yeah, definitely. I mean, with the drama documentary, I suppose, docudramas, with the docudramas.
Yeah, they do call them docudramas, yeah.
Yeah, you get you actually get the characters. So whether they were actually look like that, we don't know. But it's obviously, if you've got the idea,
they probably did dress like that, but they probably didn't look like that. Yeah.
So I have to say, I was totally impressed. I thought this was really well made. A lot of insight into the different leaders, the different personalities, the different types of people, different types of samurai, and yeah. So it's basically the history of medieval Japan, I guess. Similar things to what happened. Reminded me a lot of. I guess we don't really know too much about that history because being from a Western background, or we get to see our European history.
Well, if it isn't European, we don't care.
That's it. If it's in European, so it's like whereas obviously there's a lot in that part of the world. You know, a lot of, because I mean, I was amazed how you never really think about Korea, but Korea was quite a developed country, you know, and then you've got so. But we don't really. So this was really, really good to see because I'm quite interested in that area, and the one place on my bucket list is to go to Japan. So.
Okay, Shaun, you went to do my 13-part series about medieval Nigeria. Yeah.
Yes, well that's it. Well, that's what I mean. I mean that with my African history, I know a bit of the colonial stuff. I know a bit of what went on in the wars. But I don't really know, should we say, the sort of prehistory before it became
exactly. As it
colonized, you know, whereas
what happened before white people showed up?
The different, you know, the different. So yeah, so there's
you see, that's the scary thing about it. I don't know that much because so much of it kind of got wiped out and got suppressed. So so you have to go really digging for it. Because you know the whole thing about history, about history being written by the victors, and it's like if we colonized you, you had no history before we showed up. You were savages who were all sniffing your own bums before we showed up. You had nothing. You didn't even know what civilization was, and we had to come and civilize you. I'm going to stop before I get really annoyed.
I think to me, I mean, you said it. I know we're going back a few years now, but Wakanda, I think, was, you know, how if it hadn't. And I mean, I don't want to get into politics like that, but if that hadn't have happened, you know, do you know what I mean? Africa be developed and be. I think, you know,
that is a big part of what they did when they tried to set up Wakanda. They were essentially asking themselves, what would have happened if an African country had never been colonized?
Yeah,
and that's what they were trying. That's what they're trying to do. And that's a question that I could go for days about.
Yeah.
But anyway, so how many stars would we give?
This is the best documentary I've seen for a long, long time.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm going to get this, and every episode is good. Every episode is watchable. And so yeah, so this is a solid 5, and I think this must be one of the first 5s I've given to a streaming service.